There's some things that I have found that young lawyers and small firms have done that impressed me. And one is seeking out ethics counsel. And that's how I have gotten to know many of these young or these small law firms. It might seem unusual at the beginning of a law practice to hire a lawyer, but there are good reasons to do so. The state bar has an ethics hotline that's available to all lawyers, and it's very good. And I'm not trying to discourage people from using it. I think the Arizona State Bar does a good job with it. However, the State Bar will only answer questions about a lawyer's own prospective conduct. And the problem there is there are a lot of ethics questions that come up that are not about the lawyer's own prospective conduct. There are a lot of questions about other lawyers' conduct, questions about clients and what clients are doing and whether what the client wants to do is reasonable and is a good idea. Potential issues about fee agreements, review of engagement letters, review of other kinds of letters to clients. All of those are things that the State Bar's ethics hotline will not do. And even if they did them, there would be no attorney-client privilege associated with them. I tell my clients that it's a lot better to pay me for 1/10 or 2/10 of an hour now than to pay me for many hours later helping to resolve a State Bar complaint or a fee dispute or a malpractice action. So it can be an investment in time it's not only wise to make and get some answers pretty quickly, but it gives some assurances to those lawyers who are handling things that they've never handled before. And a lot of them are much more complicated than you would anticipate. It's hard enough to learn the substantive area of law, to get to know the court systems, to start to become comfortable in the area where a lawyer wants to practice. But when you add on to that all of the issues that can come from client relations, relations with opposing counsel, relations with the courts, and a lot of these issues that pop up and that are not taught in law school, and it can be very helpful to have some advice there. Another thing that this does, to have advice of that kind, is it takes out the emotion. When you're trying to start your own law firm, you're emotionally invested in it as well as professionally. You want to succeed. You want to do a good job. But the problem is that sometimes the clients that lawyers get in those situations are clients who have difficult problems, might have gone to several other attorneys before going to them, and might be hard to manage. And when a client accuses a lawyer, especially a lawyer in the start of his or her career, of overcharging for something, of doing a bad job, it's very hard to separate the lawyer's emotions from the problem and respond in a way that's appropriate, both substantively appropriate and professionally appropriate. And it can be extremely helpful to have someone who can review the strategy under those circumstances, help with that letter, review and edit very quickly a letter, or just simply give confirmation that the approach the lawyer and the law firm are deciding to take is the appropriate one. In addition to that, there's the attorney-client privilege that attaches. There can be a very free, open discussion about the emotions related to it, the frustrations of dealing with a particular client or an opposing counsel or a court, and how hard it is to go through this process of establishing yourself in the profession. All of that within the confines of the attorney-client privilege, and develop strategies that can help with revisions to letters, revisions to engagement letters, management of the trust account, which is an extremely difficult thing to do, especially for a busy lawyer, which clients to take, which ones not to, when to fire a client, when not to. All of those are things that can be helped and can be managed with somebody who has the experience in doing so, and usually without much of an investment by the small law firm. Over time, what I find is that the law firms that retain me as their ethics counsel, as their law office management counsel, I would have expected that over time the number of questions would diminish. But in fact, they usually increase. And I think that's because they get a comfort level and they want that knowledge that what they're doing is correct. And that somebody else has looked at it and maybe had a slightly different idea. I have law firms that I represent that are started off small, that now have, a few lawyers there. They're not big yet, but they're doing very well. And they're doing well in part, I think, because they can focus on the substantive area where they want to practice.